Ambrosia nectar, the food of the gods. That was not what we think. Ambrosia, supposedly giving immortality, this was found in Greek myths. It was the food or the drink of the gods, the Greek pantheon, the gods of Olympus, often depicted as conferring longevity or immortality upon whoever consumed it. It was brought to the gods of Olympus by doves and served by either Hebe or Ganymede at the heavenly feast. And ambrosia is sometimes depicted in ancient art as distributed by a nymph labeled with that name and a nurse of Dionysus. Now we know that also the mother of Achilles, Thetis, anointed him with ambrosia, but we'll go into a little bit more of what this is. I'm translating from a Greek article for you. The ancient Greeks, giving their gods human characteristics, included the qualities, strengths, and weaknesses of people, and so they considered it natural to have the need for food. One of the past videos and we had on the Greek gods concerning Greek texts show that they were perhaps the offspring of Atlanteans from space. Now, going back to this, the only difference is that the food intended for these gods ensured their immortality, and therefore the use of divine food by ordinary mortals was strictly forbidden. So what was this Ambrosian food of the gods? Ambrosia was the food of the gods, just as nectar was their drink. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. So they ate ambrosia and drank nectar. Before ambrosia was found, the gods only smelled the fat of the victims. Initially, this food appeared to be the birth of Zeus, flowing from the horn of Amalthea, the horn of plenty. During the epic of Dionysus, that is Ulysses, the Pelees brought ambrosia to Father Deimesa in plankets, where one of them is always lost, but Zeus creates another to replace it. And from Ulysses M 62 to 65 verses, we say it writes, "And no bird overtakes them, but no dove of Zeus the father bears the ambrosia, and from them every time the slippery stone grabs, but to close the number the father sends another." End quote. Another, according to the poet Miro in Byzantium, ambrosia was brought to Zeus when he was a child in Crete. The Pleiades and the nectar eagles and Zeus, defeating his father, made the eagle immortal and took him to heaven, making them the forerunners of summer and winter. According to another legend mentioned by Proclus, Demeter prepared ambrosia and nectar for the immortals. Ambrosia ensured immortality. Ambrosia initially declared immortality and was treated instead. They believed that just as man lived on food, so the gods were kept immortal through ambrosia. However, through ambrosia, ordinary mortals also became immortal, and in this way Aphrodite made Berenike immortal through this ambrosia. According to verse 25, 106 to 108 from Theocrates, "O Dionysus of Cyprus, immortal from a mortal, in human proverb you made Berenike, I distilled ambrosia in her bosom." Also, the goddess Athena, at the command of Zeus, pours nectar and pleasant ambrosia on Achilles' chest to relieve him of hunger. And according to the Iliad, T 345 to 347, or that he, Achilles, should not take food, but he did not want to go down to the sweetness to drip ambrosia and nectar in his breast so that he would not drown in hunger. Now here too, ambrosia is confused with nectar in liquid form. Plato, in the allegory of the association of souls, adds nectar as a drink after ambrosia. The driver didn't come to the body of the horses, they stopped ambrosia and watered her nectar. Rarely, ambrosia is found separately from nectar. In many cases, between these two words, there is only a difference of the individual general term. In the Odyssey, always only the ambrosia is clearly distinguished from nectar, and in the meal with Calypso, quotes to Hermes, quote, the goddess said, and they set a table full of ambrosia, and when he ate the red nectar of the connoisseur, he drank the great nectar. Okay, I guess. I'm sorry, I'm trying to translate this. Now, below the goddess's services offered the guests Dionysus ambrosia, nectar, and now it says here, as she sat down with her uncle Ulysses that is, and she was given nectar by the slaves and ambrosia. And Hesiod says that the gods ate both nectar and ambrosia. Quote, but as if they gave them everything they needed, and nectar and ambrosia, what only the gods eat, then their rugged souls trembled in their breasts. He, the pious poet, adds that the false gods, guilty can no longer be, fed with nectar and ambrosia. Quote, so whoever pours water from it to swear falsely from the immortals, who have the top of the snow-covered Olympus, for a long time he looks breathlessly and does not once bring the ambrosia to his lips or the nectar to feed, but he looks breathlessly without shouting. A layer of light, a terrible paralysis covers his limbs. In Pindar, Tantalus stole from the people the nectar and ambrosia which made him immortal. But we have more material concerning ambrosia. It was used as a cosmetic, an antiseptic, and a healing ointment. Ambrosia was used instead of ointment as well as a cosmetic and antiseptic. The goddesses were anointed with ambrosia to maintain their amaranth beauty, and mortal women, thanks to the use of ambrosia, looked more beautiful. Also, the wounds with ambrosia healed quickly, and the dead that were smeared with it became aseptic. Hera, with ambrosia, cleansed her skin. Quote, and first her whole body, which was gracefully ambrosian, was beautifully cleansed, and an incorruptible sweet oil with fragrant myrrh was spread. End quote. Also, the goddess Athena, with ambrosian beauty, cleans Penelope. Quote, the ambrosian anointing brightened her beautiful face with what the well-crowned Aphrodite anointed, according to Odysseus, the Iliad, S 192 to 193. And also, ambrosia heals wounds. As Virgil mentions in Aeon 12:149, ambrosia is used by the gods as an ointment to heal wounds. Sarpedon's body is smeared with ambrosia to protect it from rotting. Quote, or after anointing him with ambrosia, clothe him with incorruptible clothes. It also appears as a way of embalming. The Iliad states that Thetis instilled nectar ambrosia from the nose into Patroclus' corpse as antiseptics. The Iliad T 38-39 says, and in the nostrils of the dead, pink dripping nectar ambrosia, indestructible to keep the body. Then there's also a beautiful, excellent fragrance of ambrosia. The excellent smell of ambrosia is often excluded. Ethiopia puts ambrosia in front of Menelaus' nose to remove the bad smell of the seal. Quote, either we were suffocated by the heavy smell of sea urchins, medicated, and who can sleep with a sea monster, but she saved us with the big breath of our nostrils was set by ambrosia, and the smell disappeared from the hull. End quote. The garden of citrus, source of ambrosia. Some authors speak of the source of ambrosia in the garden of Hesperides. Apparently, this is the place where, in the Odyssey, the Peles bring the ambrosia to Zeus forced to pass flying through the plankton. Quote, the fact that there are stones hanging and it thunders towards them, the big wave of the glaucus in the face of Aphrodite's, those planks are called by the blessed gods. And the horses of the gods were fed with ambrosia. The newborn children of the gods had to be fed with nectar and ambrosia. Even the horses of the gods with ambrosia as herbaceous food were fed. This indicates that they also participated in immortality. Iliad, E 775 to 777. His horse was stopped by Hera, the white-haired woman, and all around she girded them with gloom, and an ambrosia leaf sprouted for Simois to graze. Simois, I suppose, is a horse. Otherwise, ambrosia looked like honey. Many have associated the ambiguity of the word ambrosia with the varied use of honey. Indeed, it seems that honey is hidden in the sense of ambrosia. Hymn to Hermes 562, gods are here. For Zeus as a child, there are therefore two traditions. According to him, the Pellus fed him with ambrosia and nectar, and on the other hand, bees through honey. According to the German mythologist Roscher, ambrosia was a mythical representation of honey, which fell from the sky on the plants as dew. Drosomeli or aeromeli. Aeromeli means honey from the air, and was therefore considered heavenly or divine food. It was eaten either as natural honey or processed into a drink. The expression of ambrosia and nectar to honey agree with this. They were used with a metaphorical meaning on the vestibule and thanks to the word or poems. Now, Ivikos even characterizes ambrosia as having 9 times the sweetness of honey. And we read about this in the Athenian. Ivikos says the ambrosia of honey is intensely sweet. The honey of the 9th is part of the ambrosia during pleasure. Finally, ambrosia was called in religious ceremonies the caique of water, oil, and various fruits, as mentioned by the Athenian. The 4th ambrosia, water, sharp, oil, and pangarpia. The phallic importance of ambrosia. Ambrosia is purely phallic. The gods diligently take care of the ambrosia for themselves in order to maintain their immortality, and they are jealous that it will not be passed on to ordinary mortals so that they do not become immortal. Ambrosia is therefore the seed of life, that is, genital sperm and regenerative water. Thus the tree of ambrosia has the same meaning as the tree of Adam and the tree of rain, which are related to each other in popular tradition, and is the most ancient and general personification due to the above double nature of ambrosia. I've translated this from a Greek article for you, and I hope you liked it. Not many of us know what ambrosia and nectar were. Obviously, it was the food of the gods to keep them healthy and immortal, and if they were to administer this to humans, the humans would become immortal as well. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.